Hello and welcome to lesson 6.1. This is the part 2 video and we're still looking at ratios, rates, and a unit rate. So for the part 2 video, we're specifically going to look at what we call dimensional analysis. Now dimensional analysis is nothing more than using either rates or unit rates to convert from one unit to another. Okay, so what I mean by this is we're going to use stuff like 12 inches equals 1 foot. Now, if I use something like 12 inches equals 1 foot, I personally like to leave it written like this until I know how I need to use it. And I'll show you what I mean here in a few minutes in our next example. But ultimately, I can write it as 12 inches for every 1 foot, or I could write it as 1 foot for every 12 inches. Now, as you're going to see here in a minute, depending on what I'm given as my starting unit, is going to depend on whether I want to use it in this format or this format. So to begin with, for my unit conversions, I always like to start out or write them as something like this so that I can put it into either format depending on how I need it. So when we look at example 5, we're told that we want to that we have 12 quarts and we want to figure out how many gallons it uses. Okay, now I will give you a unit conversion sheet, okay, but this is something that we probably should know. So I'm going to tell you that 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. So this is my unit conversion that I'm going to use. Now when I go to start doing my conversions, I'm going to tell you that you always start with what you're given. So you're going to start with what you're given. So in this case, I'm going to start with my 12 quarts. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my conversion rate or rates, depending on what I need to convert, to go from there. So let's go ahead and look at how we're going to set this up. So I personally find it easiest to use like this little chart here. So notice I'm going to start out with what I was given. So I'm given 12 quarts. So I'm going to put 12 quarts in the top box because if you remember, this is really 12 over 1, and that would be quarts over 1. So I really have 12 quarts over 1. And now what I have to do is I have to go from quarts to gallons. So luckily, I'm given a direct conversion. I know that I have 4 quarts in 1 gallon, so I can go ahead and use this just as it is. Okay, so in order for this to work, I ultimately want to be able to cancel out the quarts that I have here in the top. So to cancel something out, that means I have to have something in the top, or that unit in the top and that unit in the bottom. So I'm going to take this conversion factor here, and I'm going to put my 4 quarts in the bottom, and then I'm going to place my 1 gallon in the top. And the reason I want to do this is because I can now go ahead and cancel out my quarts. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my 12 times my 1, which will give me 12. My quarts have canceled out, so now I'm left with 12 gallons in the top. And then I'm going to divide that by, here I have 1 times 4, so that will give me 4. My quarts have canceled out here, so I have no units left in the bottom. And if I simplify, 12 divided by 4 now is 3 gallons. Okay, this right here would be my final answer. Now, if you ask, why do the quarts cancel out? Let's just do a quick unit analysis here, discussion. So if I have 12 quarts and I multiply it by 1 gallon, I have 12 times 1, which is 12, but then I'm going to have quarts times a gallon in the top, and then in the bottom I have 1 times 4, which is 4, and then I have 4 quarts. So if you remember from fractions, when I deal with fractions, if I have the same thing in the top and the bottom and they're being multiplied, that means I can cancel them out. So here I can cancel out my quarts, and I'm left with 12 gallons. And then I have my 4 on the bottom, so that's going to leave me with 3 gallons as well. So mathematically, you can see how the units will cancel out this way, if that helps. For example 6, we're going to convert 16 centimeters to inches, and I'm going to tell you that there are 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. Okay, so when I go to set up my conversion, I'm going to start out with what I was given. So I was given 16 centimeters. Okay, and if you want, you can put the 1 down below. And then I have to figure out, does the centimeters go on the top or does the inch go on the top? Well, because I have centimeters on the top already, I need my centimeters to cancel out so I can end up with my unit of inches. So that tells me I have to place that 2.54 centimeters down on the bottom. And you have to keep your units every step of the way. So if 2.54 centimeters goes on the bottom, that means 1 inch goes on the top. So now what I can see here is that my centimeters are going to cancel, and I can now multiply my fraction straight across. So 16 times 1 is 16. My unit is inches. 1 times 2.54 is 2.54. And if I divide these out, I get something that's about 6.299, which is about 6.3 inches. Okay. Likewise, for part B, I'm told that I have to convert 14 kilograms to pounds. And I'm going to tell you that it's 2.2 pounds for every 1 kilogram. So again, I'm going to start out with what I was given. I was given 14 kilograms. Okay, I want kilograms to cancel out. So when I look at what was given here, that means I have to put that unit of 1 kilogram on the bottom. And my 2.2 pounds goes on the top. Now kilograms are going to cancel, and I would highly suggest that you show your work as you do this so that you can see what's going to cancel. When I multiply things straight across, 14 times 2.2 is 30.8. My unit is pounds, and I'm going to divide that by 1, and my unit of kilograms cancels, so this leaves me with 30.8 pounds. So 14 kilograms is equal to roughly 30.8 pounds. For my next example, this is going to be a little bit more complex, but it's still the exact same process. So for example 7, we are told that we have to convert 10 miles per hour into feet per minute. So the one thing I want to note to you right away is when you're given something like 10 miles per hour, okay, that really means that my 10 miles goes on top. Per means divide, and I really have 1 hour on the bottom. Okay, so please make sure that you understand this, because this right here will be a common mistake and your units will not cancel out if you don't set this up correctly. So I have 10 miles for every 1 hour. Now, if you notice in this case, I have 2 units. I have units of miles and units of hours, and I need to go to feet per minute. So that means when I'm all done, I need to have feet on the top and minutes on the bottom. So you are going to have to pick 1 unit at a time, take it all the way and change it, and then we're going to go and do the other unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by converting the miles. Okay, so I know that 1 mile is equivalent to 5,280 feet. So I'm going to start out with this conversion. So because I have miles in the top and I want that to cancel, that tells me I have to move this 1 mile to the bottom. And then I'm going to have to put the 5,280 feet on the top. So right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cancel out my miles, and I have my unit of feet, which is what I want. Okay, now right now when I look at my units, I have feet per hour and I need feet per minute. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and convert my unit of time. So hopefully you know that in 1 hour we have 60 minutes. So in order to get my hour on the bottom to cancel, I have to have a unit of hours on the top. And based on my conversion, I can see that I have 1 hour for every 60 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply 10 times 5,280 times 1. Oh, and I did forget to cross out my hours here. So hours are going to cancel and I'm going to be left with my minutes. So 10 times 5,280 times 1, this is going to give me 52,800. My unit is feet in the top. And then I have on the bottom 1 times 60, which is 60, and my unit is minute on the bottom. And when I take 52,800 and I divide it by 60, I end up with 880, and that would be feet per minute. And this would be my final answer. And for our last example, we're going to start out, we have 3.5 quarts per minute. So again, because it's quarts per minute, that's 3.5 quarts for every 1 minute. And I need to go into gallons per hour. Well, earlier we said that 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. I'm going to cancel out my quarts. So because I have a unit of quarts on the top, I need my 4 quarts to go on the bottom. That way my units of quart will cancel out. And then I'm going to have my 1 gallon left on the top. So I do have the unit that I want now on the top because I do want gallons. Now I need to adjust my minutes. And we said that 1 hour was equal to 60 minutes earlier. So because I have minutes on the bottom, I have to have my minutes on the top. So I'm going to place that 60 minutes on the top and my 1 hour on the bottom. My minutes are going to cancel and I'm going to be left with hours, which is the unit that I want. And I'm now going to go ahead and multiply. So 3.5 times 1 times 60 is going to give me 210. My unit is gallons. And then I have 1 times 4 times 1, which will give me 4, and my unit is hours. So here is my rate. Now I'm going to take it to my unit rate, and I'm going to write this as 52.5 gallons per hour. Okay, and for the last part, I'm told that I have 12 centimeters per second, and I want to go into meters per hour. So again, I'm going to start out with what I know. I have 12 centimeters for every 1 second. Okay, now there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So I'm going to go ahead and put my unit conversion in, and I'm going to cancel out my centimeters first, so that 100 centimeters has to go on the bottom, so that centimeters will cancel, and that means I put my 1 meter on the top. So I end up with the unit that I want on the top. And now I need to go, I need to convert my seconds into hours. Now some of us might not know how many seconds there are in an hour, which is fine, but I know that I can always go from seconds to minutes and minutes to hours. So hopefully we know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So I can go ahead and use that. So I'm going to put my 60 seconds up here and my 1 minute on the bottom. So what this does then is this cancels out my seconds. And if I look at my units, right now I'm left with meters per minute. So I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm going to go 1 step farther. And I'm going to use the fact that there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. So now, because I have my minutes down here, I need to cancel it by putting minutes on the top. So I have my 60 minutes for every 1 hour. Now I can see that my minutes are going to cancel, and I'm left with the hours that I want. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the math part. So when I multiply this, I have 12 times 1 times 60 times 60. This is going to give me 43,200 meters. Then I have 1 times 100 times 1 times 1. So this will give me 100, and my unit on the bottom is hours. So when I simplify this, this will give me 432 meters per hour, and that will be my final answer. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you in class.